Food processing is the set of methods and techniques used to transform raw ingredients into food or to transform food into other forms for consumption by humans or animals, either in the home or by the food processing industry. Hygienic practices in processing and storage of food and food products are always an important part of food safety systems. The strict practice of hygiene in the food product manufacturing areas will help to establish global food safety standards to protect people from the risks of foodborne diseases. Government of India indicates the following segments within the food processing industry, such as dairy, fruits and vegetable processing, grain processing, meat and poultry processing, fisheries, consumer foods including packaged foods, beverages. As food is subjected to processing, effects of contamination are accentuated if sanitary practices are not followed.
There are many opportunities for food to be contaminated between production and its consumption. Food can be contaminated at the farm during handling, processing, and storage. It is important to know how to handle raw food ingredients safely and prepare food so as to reduce the risk of serving contaminated food.
Food items should not be grown or harvested in areas where the presence of potentially harmful substances would lead to an unacceptable level of such substances in the final product. They should be protected from contamination by human, industrial, and agricultural wastes. After harvesting, the conveyances used for the transporting from place of production to storage for processing should be cleaned and disinfected. Establishments should be preferably located in areas which are free from objectionable odors, smoke, dust, or other contaminants, and are not subject to flooding. Such roadways and areas serving the establishment should have a hard paved surface suitable for wheeled traffic, but should be away from heavy traffic areas or highways. Buildings and facilities should be of sound construction and hygienically designed to prevent contamination of the product. Equipment, utensils, and all the other physical facilities of the establishment should be maintained in an orderly condition. All construction material should be such that they do not transmit any undesirable substances to food. Adequate working space should be provided to allow satisfactory performance of all operations. Buildings and facilities should be designed to facilitate hygienic operations by means of a regulated flow in the process from the arrival of the raw materials at the premises to the finished product, and should provide for appropriate temperature conditions for the process and the product. Flow should preferably be of non-absorbent, washable, non-slip and non-toxic materials. Walls should be of waterproof, non-absorbent and washable materials, sealed and free from insects, and should be light colored. Windows and other openings should be so constructed as to avoid accumulation of dirt, and those which open should be fitted with insect-proof screens. Doors should have smooth, non-absorbent surfaces and, where appropriate, be self-closing and close-fitting. Living quarters, toilets should be separated. Adequate changing facilities should be provided in all establishments. As a general principle, only potable water, as defined in the latest edition of Volume 1 of the World Health Organization's Guidelines for Drinking Water Quality, should be used in food handling. Hand washing facilities with hot and cold water and hygienic means of drying hands should be provided. Adequately sized sinks with a running water supply should be provided at food service establishments. Automatic taps are desirable to avoid cross-contamination after washing hands. Adequate natural or artificial lighting should be provided throughout the establishment. Adequate ventilation should be provided to prevent excessive heat and to remove contaminated air. All equipments and utensils used in food handling areas and which may contact food should be made of materials which do not transmit toxic substances, odor, or taste. Surfaces should be smooth and free from pits and crevices. All equipment such as knives, spoons, and other utensils used to handle food should be cleaned using hot water and detergents and well maintained. Use separate cutting boards for chopping vegetables and meat. Use only clean towels kept for the purpose to wipe dry the utensils. Individual, preferably a permanent staff member of the establishment, should be appointed to be responsible for the cleanliness of the establishment. There should be a properly working exhaust fan in the establishment. The management should take care to ensure that no person, while known or suspected to be suffering from or to be a carrier of a disease or while afflicted with infected wounds, should immediately report to the management. Persons who come in contact with the food in the course of their work should have a medical examination prior to their employment. Every person engaged in a food handling area should maintain a high degree of personal cleanliness while on duty and should at all times while so engaged wear a suitable protective clothing including head covering and footwear. Aprons, clothing and uniform should be clean and fit to wear. Buttons should be preferably avoided for those who directly handle food to prevent them from coming off and falling into the food. These clothing should be washed at least once a day or when they become soiled or sticky. The worker should not wear any jewelry or other accessories while at work. Any behavior which could result in contamination of food, such as cigarette smoking, use of tobacco, etc., or any other unhygienic practices should be prohibited. Food handlers should wear gloves and other protection equipments such as masks. This should be maintained in a sound, clean, and sanitary condition. The wearing of gloves does not exempt the operator from having thoroughly washed hands. All steps in the production process, including packaging, should be performed without unnecessary delay and under conditions which will prevent the possibility of contamination, deterioration, or the development of pathogenic and spoilage microorganisms. All packaging materials should be stored in a clean and sanitary manner and should provide appropriate protection from contamination. Food processing sectors consume huge amount of water for processing food. A considerable part of these waters are potential wastewaters and has to be treated for safe disposal to the environment. Establishments should have an efficient effluent and waste disposal system which should be always maintained in a good order and repair. Care should be taken to prevent access to waste by pests. There should be separate waste bins for biodegradable and non-biodegradable waste. The waste bin should not be kept near food preparation or storage areas. There should be a separate area to take the waste bins out and should not be taken through the kitchen. The waste bins should be emptied regularly before getting overfilled. Finished products may be stored at a moisture low enough so that the product can be held under normal storage conditions without development of mold or significant deterioration by oxidative or enzymatic changes. Products should be stored and transported under conditions that maintain the integrity of the container and the product within it. Carriers should be clean, dry, weatherproof, free from infestation, and sealed to prevent water, rodents, or insects from reaching the products. The food sales counter and the display cabinets should be cleaned and well maintained. The floor of the sales counter should be clean. The refrigerating facilities, such as coolers, should be free from noxious odors. The sales personnel at the food counters should wear clean clothes. Consumers should check use by dates and labels of packed food before purchasing. Food safety is a critical component for sustainable development. Safer food contributes to less illness and hence increased productivity and improved livelihood.
This documentary video on food safety is intended to make the food processing industry aware of the ground realities of how food becomes contaminated and how hazards can be controlled to the maximum possible.
Please contact Cohart for further details. Email us at cohart@kvasu.ac.in, or you could also visit our webpage www.cohart.ac.in.